Hey everyone, it's Gildamem here, and today I've got a guide on how to start in World vs. World. This guide is meant to be an introduction to World vs. World, so it will focus on explaining the basics for players who are not familiar with this game mode, after which you can finally go out with your war face ready to get some kills.
Let me see your real war face!
So let's get started. World vs. World is a competitive game mode in Guild Wars 2, and it is played on battleground maps between 3 servers. It has some aspects of PvE as well. World vs. World has a lot of large-scale battles between squads, as it can get up to 50 versus 50 versus 50 players between the 3 servers. The objectives are capturing structures such as camps and towers, as well as killing other players from the other 2 servers. Both of these give points that add on to your overall world score in the matchup. A World vs. World matchup lasts a week. Matchups reset every Friday, with the winning server in your matchup going up a tier and the last server in the matchup going down a tier. The second place server stays in the same tier and faces the servers that went up or down from their tiers. It is possible to get ascended and even legendary gear from World vs. World alone, as well as reward tracks for different PvE maps to gain specific rewards. Now, how to access World vs. World? You can access World vs. World by clicking on the castle logo on the top left corner of your menu. This is the World vs. World UI. This shows you the servers fighting in the current matchup. You can see the total victory points here to track who's winning the overall matchup. At the bottom, you have the battleground maps that you can enter or queue for. The match overview tab gives you more details on the matchup and how the servers are doing in each borderland. The main rewards you get as a player come from gaining pips over here. You get pips every few minutes, which you can see in the timer here and here. You get more pips based on your tier participation. There are a total of 6 tiers for active participation. You get more pips if you are outnumbered on a borderland or leading a squad, along with other factors. As long as you stay active in a map and complete objectives, you will keep gaining pips. You can hover over the chest to see what rewards you gain from each chest. Every few circles, you will gain skirmish chests. It is up to you on what you want to take from the chest. The one I would recommend is their Proof of Heroics, as you can trade them at a notary vendor like this one found in Edge of the Mist for hero points. You can save these to unlock them on other characters, so you can unlock all the hero points from Path of Fire and Heart of Thorn. Aside from possible ascended drops, you can also save tickets to buy ascended gear and then upgrade that tier into legendary armor even further. You also have reward tracks like PvP, giving you the choice to farm rewards from PvE maps or specific World vs. World tracks. Using boosters in World vs. World will help to get a lot of these tracks and leveling up faster. Ranks and abilities. The rank and abilities tab shows your level in World vs. World. World vs. World has its own mastery point system and does not use anything from your PvE mastery point. This means if you have gliding in PvE, you still need to level it up in World vs. World, so you can glide over here as well. Every level up will give you a point to spend on these abilities. The first ability I would go for is the Warclaw Mastery, so you can roam faster. The Warclaw is the only mount you can use in World vs. World. If you do not have a Warclaw yet, I would advise you stay close to your group as much as possible. Warclaws have an ability point that can share its speed to nearby players. This will allow you to keep up with the group as long as you don't get distracted or stray away too much. The Warclaw has a list of achievements you need to complete in order to unlock it. Most of these you will complete just by playing in World vs. World. Here's the following achievements that you need to unlock. There's no specific order for you to unlock them, and most of these are very easy and will not take that much time. Most of them, or I would say all of them, can be done in one sitting if you are running with an active commander. The second one is the Gliding Mastery. Keep in mind, gliding only works in territories owned by your world, and they are marked on the map by the color of your world. If you glide in enemy territory, you will fall off a cliff. The next abilities would be to level up your Provision Master so you can auto loot, making it easier for you to focus on the fights since loot is automatically picked up for you. The other two are Repair and Build Master leveling. Leveling each of these up at least one level will help in group play since you can use less supply and can build faster. The others are up to you. If you want to level up Siege specifically, I would suggest you go for Flame or Catapult, as these two Siege items are commonly used to get into towers and keeps. Gearing. In PvP, your level scales up to 80, and almost all stats and weapon upgrades are accessible along with your utility skills. In World vs. World, however, your gear still matters. You are below level 80, so you'll be scaled up in World vs. World, but if you are missing any skills, they will not unlock like in PvP. Although there are no gear limitations in World vs. World, so you actually have full freedom of gear and for food buffs. Supply. Supply is used to build and repair things in World vs. World. Your own supply is displayed at the top right next to the timer. If you are in a squad, then you can also check the overall supply over here. Supply is one of your ability ranks, so the more you level it, the more supply you can store. You start with 10, and if a guild that claims an objective has certain upgrades, you can carry more. When taking supply, you will take from the amount that the base is holding. These structures in World vs. World. Using your map, you can actually click on the structures to see which guilds have claimed them. Upgrades that it has as well, such as fortified walls or more guards. Structures that are leveled up to tier 3 will be much harder to take and are more likely to be defended by the enemy team. Camps. Camps are small objectives that can be taken by a small party or even one person. Once you kill the camp boss, a circle around the camp will spawn, which once the bar for claiming it completes, you will capture the camp. Camps will send Dolyaks to the nearby towers or keeps, which can give those bases more resources. This allows you to upgrade the structures, which can grant you stronger walls and gates and more guards and other upgrades. If you are escorting a Dolyak, you will also trigger a boon that will help the Dolyak take 90% less damage as long as you or another ally is nearby. If you kill an enemy Dolyak, you will gain some karma, a currency that is used in Guild Wars 2. Towers. Towers will require some effort to capture, and you will want to capture these with friends or allies to help you. You can either knock down the walls of a tower with a trebuchet or a catapult, or you can breach the front gate with a flame ram or siege golem. Once you kill the main boss, which is always located at the top of the tower, you can then capture it. Keeps. Keeps are bases that are more difficult to capture. You will need a squad of players as they are more likely to be defended. Keeps have 2 sets of walls and gates that need to be taken down. You will need as much supply as your squad can store. Once you kill the keep lord located behind the inner wall, you can then begin to claim it. There are a few tactics to use which can make capturing some keeps easier. For example, in hill keeps, you can attack from this point of entry by using catapults to bring down the first wall and then begin catapulting to the next set of walls directly in front, allowing you to take down both sets of walls with the same siege. Castle. There is one castle in all the Borderlands located in the Eternal Battlegrounds map. This castle is named Stone Mist. It's really not that different from keeps. It still has 2 sets of walls, but this base grants the most points per tick for your matchup, so expect it to always be defended by whichever server that owns it. Siege. Siege is thrown in the form of blueprints. You can double click the item to equip the siege you want to drop. Siege has 3 tiers. The regular siege is your basic form of siege. It is easy to build, but also easy for the enemy to destroy. The next tier is the superior siege blueprint. These cost more supply to build, but deal 50% more damage than the regular blueprint. Guild blueprint. These are almost as good as the superior siege, but cost less to build them. Guild blueprints are crafted by members of guilds using the scribing discipline. You use siege blueprints to equip them. They will replace your weapon slot with skills for placing the siege on the ground. And once placed, you can then start building the siege, which you will then use some of your supply depending on what it costs to build that siege. Flame ram. You use flame rams to take down towers, keeps, and castle gates. Make sure to take out one of the burning oils above you so they don't destroy your siege. Arrow cart. Think of a ranger that can barrage. Now multiply that by 5. Arrow carts are a great way to defend the base from the enemy, as you can deal consistent damage and cripple the enemy targets. You can defend a base with a small group of people using arrow carts on larger enemy squads, allowing enough time for reinforcements to get to your area. Ballista. Ballistas are good to use against individual players, small groups, and siege weapon. It is not as useful for taking on bases, but is an excellent siege equipment if you want to use it to control choke points. Catapults. Catapults can be used on gates and walls to take down bases. Trebuchets. A bigger catapult with more supply required to build it. Trebs have a much longer range. Siege golems. Great for last minute defending, but also good for rushing a base quickly. They're usually teleported using mesmer portals and given plenty of swiftness so they can move faster. Shield generators. If Guardian was ever a siege weapon, this would be it. If you are having problems taking down a base because your siege keeps getting destroyed, buy a shield generator. You can use the protective bubbles to shield your allies and siege from attack. Structural siege weapons. Structural siege weapons are siege weapons only found in bases such as towers and keeps. You will only see these on bases that you have done some upgrades to them, which will allow you to place these items. Burning oil. Burning oil is very good to use when the enemy is trying to rudely ram your gate down. Careful, if they fight back, you could get pulled or focused, as burning oils are one of the first things enemy teams will take down to avoid taking damage on their flame round. Cannons. Cannons deal a lot of damage to an area and have a long range. Like burning oils, cannons are one of the first base siege weapons that is targeted and brought down immediately. If you are trying to take down a base, do not build siege in range of a cannon until you can clear it. Otherwise, you will end up wasting siege and supply. Mortar. A much longer range than cannon and can also deal heavy damage to enemies in siege. World vs World tasks. If you find yourself lost in World vs World, here's a list of possible tasks you can do. Join a blob, or aka a Zerg. You can join the main action of the commander in that map. They have a Dorito looking icon above their head, and it also shows up on your map. Zergs are often where the big fights happen, as they tend to go for bases and also look for fights. In most cases, an organized Zerg will take down the other enemy even if they do have more numbers. Make sure if your commander is going to push into the enemy to stay close to them as possible. In organized groups, all boons and heals are placed where the commander stands or moves, so while they may be going right into the enemy, you are much safer with the commander than standing all the way in the back. Havocs. A Havoc group is a small group of players that roam the maps together. They usually try to take smaller bases in hopes of capturing them for their server or to distract the enemy blob. Experienced Havoc groups can also snipe people off a squad if they stray too far from their commander. If you are in a Havoc group, you need to pay even more attention to your surroundings, as you do not have the numbers on your side. So if an enemy blob is coming back to attack you, you need to be ready to run. Roamers. A roamer or small party of roamers are players who are good to fight on their own or with as little people on their side as possible. Roamers usually look for fights with other roamers or try to take camps and kill Dalyak supply. Roamers might even just be players who are looking to kill time in World vs World by taking a break from multiple losses and disappointment in PvP. Advice: if you are a new player to World vs World and you're not too confident in your skills as a player, consider swapping from Zerker gear to a more sustainable build. World vs World involves going through a lot of damage, and if you're not somewhat tanky, you might get melted immediately on a push. New players, don't be afraid to go out alone if there isn't a tag on your map. If you get killed, that's fine. Just learn from it, figure it out, and improve on it. If you see a tag, join them and learn from them. See where they place siege, how they fight, when they try to hold a point. Find out which roles they might need and what you think you like better, and learn that class. Throwing siege. If you're following a tag and want to help them with siege, never place it yourself. Just mail the siege to the commander. The commander needs to plan the supply the squad has based on which structures they want to take. They also may have a certain strategic area to place the siege. If you want to help them with the siege, best thing you could do is mail the siege to them. Do not pull the tactic levers in bases until you know what you are doing. They have 30-minute cooldowns for everyone on your team. These levers are used in the most extreme cases only. Try to stay on tag as much as possible in a fight, even when you go through a lot of damage. Heals are always placed wherever the tag goes, so you're much safer being near them than at the back. If you do want to listen in on a commander and how they command the fight, you can join the Discord they advertise in their squad message or map chat. Keep in mind, some commanders might be a little louder compared to others. Base supply. If you are at a base, do not use the supply unless it's really needed. Last thing you want is trying to repair a wall and losing all that supply that your own teammates are unable to build cannons or mortars to even defend from the enemy. Another note: if you see two players fighting in World vs World and other players are just watching, they are probably dueling, so be respectful and don't interfere. If it's just two random players fighting and you have no idea whether it's a duel or not, then just kill and ask questions later. World vs World can seem challenging and intimidating if you do not know what to do. The best thing you could do is to try and get into it with some friends or guildmates, or if you see a commander on the map, just join their squad and learn from what you see. Don't be afraid to ask questions and ask for your server's Discord if they have one. And that is all the basics you need to know to get started in World vs. World. If I missed anything, feel free to comment below and please leave a like for the YouTube algorithm. If you enjoy the content of this channel, consider subscribing and turn on your notifications. If you have any questions, I am live on Twitch on the following days listed in the video and in the description below. Feel free to stop by and ask your questions there, or you could just say hello. But that's all for today. Until next time, I will see you when I see you.